Welcome back to Charm and Chaos. I have basically been talking nonstop over the last probably 2 to 3 weeks about how I had my Solidcore auditions for coaching coming up. Today is Tuesday. I did have them on Sunday, and I got the email bright and early this morning that I did in fact make it. So I guess I say make it like it's a team, like it's freaking a dance team or I don't know, but I was accepted for a position as a part-time Solidcore coach. So I'm really excited about that. Like literally I'm like, I'm saying it so casually, like really excited about that as if it actually hasn't been my entire personality for on this podcast the last 2 to 3 weeks. But I'm telling you, I think the studio in my area opened up like last either late August or early September, but I took my first class sometime in October. And I basically, okay, so the first class you take, you essentially want to die. And during the class, you're like, so I'm never coming back to do this. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, so I actually think I'm addicted. And it's not even one of those things where like you work out and after you work out, you're like, oh, okay, I actually am like so glad that I went and worked out. Like, no, it actually slowly but surely becomes an addiction. I really, really like, one, the high intensity, two, the music, and three, I love that it's dark with the exception of LED lights, because no one in their right mind wants an overhead light. I think that should be talked about more often, about how insane overhead lighting is. I'm actually trying to figure out for my office at work, like not at home, but well, honestly, probably at home too. But for my office at work, I feel like there is something missing, and sometimes it's where I'm not in the full, like I walk in, I set my stuff down, I get ready to go, and I'm not in the full like motivation and groove that I should be. And I honestly feel as though it's because there's something with the lighting. So, oh my gosh, Victoria, reminder to yourself right this second that either tonight after you finish recording or tomorrow morning when you're editing, to remind Ava about the addition to your office for the closet door. Okay, so here's your reminder. Honestly, I gave myself a reminder, I think the last time that I recorded, to make a dry bar appointment for Sunday morning before my audition. And until I was editing, I completely forgot. So this really could also just become a place of random to-do list reminders. Oh, also, I still need to send Riley a voice note. So that's also on there because I was supposed to do that yesterday morning. I literally text my little sister. If you guys don't know, if you listen to the podcast, you know who Riley is. If you don't, it's my little sister. And I texted her yesterday, basically some kind of like the beginning to some, like almost it's like the way I text her, it's like I asked her a question, but it was obviously a question that was going to lead into like some like tea. And then she responded, and then I realized I never answered her back. But it is my busiest time of the month for my full-time job, so apologies on that. Anyway, where were we going? Oh, well, going, like, if we're just gonna, like, take a step back first, overhead lighting. It is egregious the right word? Oh, also, oh my gosh, the most ADHD podcast I feel like to date, especially if we're talking about podcasts so far by myself. This is ridiculous, but also Mama G, who you guys definitely know if you've listened because she's been on a couple of times. we decided on one of the, like the last podcast or the podcast before, that we're going to start doing a word of the week, and she's going to like basically send me either a word or like some options. So that's going to be a thing. I guess we'll start that on the next one. But overhead lighting is like disgusting and egregious, if that's the right word. Mom, you can comment and tell me if I'm using that in the right context. And it's just honestly like shouldn't exist. Like it really shouldn't exist. It's like so like it to me it just will like make me angry. Like truly, my bathroom doesn't have a window. So, which is fine. I have like a little lamp, like a little one that I can touch and make like 3 different light whatever, and that's great. Like it is honestly, I mean, I shower with that light. I basically do everything until it comes time to do my hair and makeup, because it's not enough light to do my hair and makeup. But if I had to get up, because like truly I wake up right now, I'm doing 5 a.m. workout classes. So if I do that, I'm waking up at like 4:15 ish, give or take. And overhead LED light at 4:15 in the morning should be illegal. Like it should be outlawed. It should be banned. But even I like dread turning on the overhead light in my bathroom once I'm to the point of doing my hair and makeup. So with like basically that being said, I hate overhead lighting. I hate LED, like white light. Like give me a yellow light all day long. And I don't want it to be overhead. I want it to be vibey. I want it to be like around. I want to create like an aesthetic. So anyway, look at me. It may be an ADHD podcast, but we are bringing it all the way back around early on. With Solidcore, it is lights off LED strips. So between that, the high intensity, and the music, I was instantly drawn to want to coach there, because at the and it's not like I'm going to say like I used to be a Pilates instructor. This Solidcore is not Pilates. So I feel like sometimes people get that confused. I also did when I like very first went, because I really didn't know what it was, but it's kind of like a more intense Legree focused workout, because one, you're on the Megaformer. 2, it's time under tension versus reps, which I will say, like at the Pilates studio I was instructing at, we did focus on more time under tension rather than reps. But this is like heavy duty time under tension. Like you're like truly doing it for a long time and really slowly, so that you basically, your whole body's shaking and you want to collapse. But I also like the music, because I feel like if I mean, everywhere that you go, you're going to have to play clean music. That's just a given. But it would like be so annoying that I couldn't play the music that I wanted to play. Like truly, if I'm working out, I mean, I don't like country music anyway. Don't. Like whatever. I know I live in a state where country music is a really big thing, and that's fine, that's fine. But like when that's like being requested for a workout class, kill me. JK, but I'm like, no, I cannot. And I want to listen to, honestly, like I want to listen to like rap and hip hop. Now, I'm fine sprinkling in some like more upbeat, like a Tate McRae, like something like that. Absolutely. Like give it to me. Like I can do that. But I don't know. When I would just like get complaints about like, oh, it's too much like rap or too much hip hop or too much this, like, okay, I get like whatever. It's just not my clientele. And then the other thing, oh my gosh, it could never be too loud, because then everyone's like, what did you say? I'm like, okay, I'm like literally shouting, and like also the 10 other people around you clearly heard it, so stop being a freaking like caring and keep it pushing. And what was the last thing? Oh yeah, like high intensity. I mean, like you will be doing center core for at least 10 minutes, if not longer. And then obliques is a completely different session. If I made my members at my other studio hold their playing for like a minute, they were annoyed. So I just think for me personally, it is a better environment, and I'm like just like super excited. It's like a really quick turnaround. Like training already starts 2 weeks from tomorrow, and then it's pretty intensive during the whole month of July. So I'm going to have to really be organized with everything that I need to do for my full-time job, for that, and for the podcast. And I mean, it's all going to work and it's going to happen. And I'm excited for all of that. And I don't know. I think that's like, I feel like outside of, keeping you guys updated on my journey, which, I will, whether you ask for it or not. But I think that's pretty much it as far as Solidcore goes, because you're probably like, okay, we have like done and dusted this subject. Let's keep it pushing. And so keep it pushing, we will. My brother, Connor, is coming out here I think he said he gets in like either like super late Thursday night or like, almost like in the morning type of like Friday, like if it's like a 1 or 2 a.m. like Friday morning. So I'm gonna see him. Has it been since 2022 when I last saw him? Like that's what I want to say was I feel like the last time that because I saw my other brother, this is on my siblings on my dad's side. I know that when one of my other brother was moving to Florida, him and my dad did like stop through Texas, and me and my sister saw them when she was still living here. But my other brother, I want to say it's been since 2022. So unless I am completely wrong in that, God, 4 years, has it really? I'm gonna have to ask him because like that's a really long time. I mean, we FaceTime, but 4 years is a while. So anyway, he's stopping through, so that'll be fun. We're gonna, do a pool day and go get Mexican food and margaritas. I guess there's not really much more to say about that, considering it hasn't happened yet, but I am excited. So on last Saturday was our annual pool party at our apartment complex, and not only was this Ava's first pool party, but also since she took over the events, God, I mean, honestly, I feel like I kind of made her take over events like right when she got hired. But either way, this was her first pool party to not only attend, but also like she planned. And we essentially have like 2 major events of the year, and one is the pool party, which most complexes do a pool party, and then the other is some sort of like holiday thing at the end of the year. But for the pool party, like 2 years ago when I moved, I moved here almost 3 years ago, but 2 years ago when I moved to like this apartment, when my husband and I moved to this apartment, a couple months after that, my sister Riley also moved here, and she was at my apartment like almost every weekend of that summer, if not every weekend. And at the time I was still working Saturdays, and so basically she would come on like a Friday evening, and then on like we'd like make dinner or like drinks, like chill, all of that. And then and it was actually like super fun because since I was still like learning this property, we would go and look at like the different like vacant units and stuff, because all like I need to know like the floor plans and what I'm showing people and what's available and how to describe it. But it like truly felt like I was living out of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Like it was so fun. It just kind of felt like everything was like our playground, even though it's not like we were doing anything we weren't supposed to do. But I'd be like, oh, hey, like this floor plan, like someone just moved out and like we just did the make ready. Like we should go see this. Like we would go. It was like kind of just like a really like fun way to almost like do my work homework. And so that was like so fun. But also, so like on Saturday, I'd have to work and she would go to the pool. Saturday night, we'd like do dinner and like, you know, drinks again and stuff. But then on Sunday, because we're closed, then we would go to the pool on Sunday. And like the one thing about my sister is like, if there is sun, she will find it. Like I remember, and I don't know if this was just, I don't know if it's like because I like grew up in Colorado and I don't, okay, also I guess it could just be me, but I don't feel like laying out was as big of a thing in Colorado because I just feel like people didn't really have pools. And maybe that's just where I was, but like I'm not the type that even like now it would be hard for me to like just lay out in grass with no pool around. Even if I'm not going to get in the pool, I need like the vibe. I need like the vibe to lay out. Whereas like my sister, even when she was like in college, if it was like even 60 some degrees but sunny in like whatever day in March, you will find her. Like, not that she's necessarily, like, out freezing in a bikini. Although, like, if she's not going to be freezing, she'll be in one so that she can get more sun. But she's, like, the type that, like, she will want to make sure she gets, like, her vitamin D. And she'll, like, you know, find a, like, bench or something to sit and, like, get the sun. Like, she's just, like, very much, like, she wants to, like, she needs that type of thing. Which is so funny because I feel like for people that, like, say that astrology is not real, I think that's funny because she's a fire sign and I just feel like that is like a way, in my opinion, I think that's like a way to almost like be energizing for someone who's a fire sign. So anyway, with all of that being said, she would go out on Saturday, but then we'd both go out on Sunday and like lay out at the pool and do all of that. And I swear, like during that summer, I have like never bought more sunscreen because I have never like consistently laid out like weekend after weekend until that summer. Like, yes, if we would go, well, like I shouldn't say that. Excluding when I was a kid because like our dad and my stepmom, like they are in Ohio and our family there has like a little cottage at a lake, and obviously during the summers we'd be out there like every weekend and on the lake and stuff. But that was also when I was a kid, so I was like playing and I was getting a bomb ass tan, but I was also like playing in the lake. It's not like I was laying out. So in terms of laying out, I had never laid out more consistently than that summer, and that was like 100% because she was here. Last year I went to the pool one time and it was for the annual pool party last year. This year my first time going was our annual pool party this year, and it was on Saturday, but I had my auditions the next day, and I used to like not understand when I was like in my early to mid 20s, and if someone was like in their 30s or 40s like out, but they're like layering on the sunscreen, layering on whatever, I'd be like, no, like let me like get a burn the first few times so that that's out of the way, and then I'm just gonna be getting tan. Now that I am like really preserving my skin and realize what it all does. I mean, can you imagine, like, thank goodness, but I was like the tail end of like millennials for tanning beds. Like I would never say I was like truly consistent with tanning beds. I actually think I even told a story on here with Ava where I literally, it was like my first like tanning bed of the season, and it was in a stand-up tanning bed, and I didn't realize it was more powerful than like their lay down ones. And the next day I actually like passed out and had to call out of my first day of work at Wells Fargo, which is mortifying because this year alone, we're in the middle of June, and I've taken one singular day off the whole year. So if that puts into perspective that I'm not the type of person to not only call out, but their first day of work, absolutely not. That's how bad it was. I was so dehydrated from like going in this tanning bed, but like thank God, honestly, I think I only really consistently did it like at that point in time, because I was in college and it was Planet Fitness and I got free tanning in my membership. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I kind of like did it then. And then there was a couple of times like around vacation, when I was going to the beach that I did it. But I like think even like I say like millennials, even like my mom, who's I think towards the like beginning of Gen X. I mean, I feel like they were really like the start of the tanning bed craze. And then, also beginning like older millennials, and then it's kind of like trickled down to like here and there. But either way, now that it's like I've always had like a skincare routine, even since I was in elementary school. Like my mom has had me on, like whether it was even just like a Clearasil from Walgreens, because we did not have like how kids have now with freaking Sephora and Ulta and all that. Like, no, if I had a skincare system, it was from Walgreens, and you know what? I was damn excited for that. But so I've always been into skincare and everything, but I just also think there is a level of like, fuck it, I'll worry about it later as someone who's younger. And then I think once you start to like, now that I am like kind of my late 20s to like early 30s now, I'm like, so I actually don't want to look like a wrinkled, like, okay, not that everyone who ages doesn't like get wrinkles, but like I would like to preserve my skin for what it is for as long as I can, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to take care of it. So, and I do love laying out by a pool. Like, I'm not like my sister where I'm just like picking any freaking spot with the sun and like, laying out, which also I think that there's just something in here that's meant for the sun anyway, because she has beautiful, gorgeous skin. So there's that. But I do love a pool, and I love to lay out, and I love to get a good tan. But luckily for me, probably at this point in time, my schedule just doesn't permit for it. So all of that to say, that summer, I was buying sunscreen. Like, I was probably buying a friggin', because luckily I also was like not trying to burn and all of that summer. So I was probably buying a bottle of sunscreen, like, for every weekend that we were laying out. I mean, truly, I was like layering it on, maybe like 2 weekends, but I bought a lot of freaking sunscreen that summer. Last year, obviously, I only went out once, so I probably used a remaining bottle of sunscreen that I have. This year, I didn't even really think about it, because I just feel like as a white person, there's always seems to be sunscreen and like aloe vera in a household. But then once you realize you're the adult, like you actually have to be the one to supply those things, because your mom's actually not like buying them for you. So I had about like this much of a bottle of sunscreen and no aloe vera in sight. And also really like no time to go get any before this event, like as far as the sunscreen, and no time to get aloe vera afterwards before I'm like going to be going to bed for auditions the night before. But I really, as much as I just didn't want to burn in general, I really, really, really did not want to show up to auditions looking freaking crazy. So I used the rest of my bottle of like my body sunscreen, and then I was using my face sunscreen like everywhere, like to reapply. And it's so funny because like Ava was like laughing at me for, I at this point had like, because we have our like the chairs that are in like the pool, so you're at least like staying, because it's so freaking hot also, so at least you can be like in the pool staying cool while you're tanning. And I literally had like my Red Bull and like sunscreen on like the table next to me in the pool, just like is like whenever I felt like, it's like I would like grab it, like reapply somewhere else, and then be like, but what about this area, what about this area? So I actually did pretty good, except for my knees. Oh my gosh. Like I was even hitting, like I was remembering my part, because sometimes I'll forget that. I was hitting my part. I was reapplying my part, my ears, my hands, my feet, like all the things. Oh my gosh. My knees my knees. And do you know how many exercises in Solidcore are done on your knees? Like a lot. So that was not so fun. I mean, it couldn't be seen because I was wearing full leggings, but definitely they're still recovering. And then to shave on top of that, but honestly, now that I am going to be doing coaching, if I want any chance of being in the sun, I need to take advantage of that over the next 3 weekends, because after that, every weekend in July will be accounted for, and then August is too far away for me to think about right now because I have to go like one day at a time. And so by going even more than a month out, that was too much. But because I know that I'm going to be training every weekend for 7 hours, I just realized I'm going through Solidcore coaching training in addition to my first ever budget camp for my property at the same time. And as much as I'm like, I love to like have stuff going on. I mean, I will probably be like, am I going to have a day to sleep in? But sometimes you have those times and you persevere. And like I said on the last podcast, on the last podcast, I was saying how like I love getting into bed like sore, which I do. I love getting into bed like sore, like from like a workout, from hard work. But even if it was just like a day or whatever, like full of a lot, I love getting into bed, just like almost feeling like my body gave everything it had to give. And I know I'm about to have like the best night's sleep ever. And it is great. It really is. Speaking of which, I'm excited because America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader documentary season 3 dropped today. And I did start rewatching it. I think what's funny is I feel like I started rewatching it literally Sunday morning before my auditions. And I know I said last week I was going to like rewatch it for the purpose of getting into the mood of my auditions. So I did start it before technically, but not that much before. And now I'm like, oh, I already just want to skip to season 3. But I like have seen season 1 like a few times now, but I don't know. Like I remember season 2, but almost like I kind of only remember certain people, but not like the season as a whole. So I really just need to like be patient and finish so that when season 3 comes, I'm like more invested. Also, all 3 parts of the Summer House reunion are out as of last week, and I think like Tuesday nights is when it actually like drops on Bravo or whatever, but I watch it via Peacock, so it's always like the day after. And they're dropping like a bonus episode now that the reunions are done of like, I guess maybe when Sierra found out about like Amanda and West and everything. And I'm very interested because that's going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to be very interested to watch that. Oh, you know what I also watched? Because I was going to say, like, I was going to talk about TV, but, like, I haven't watched America's Sweetheart yet. I'm currently watching Love Island, but it's not... I don't know. I think Love Island, it's so dependent on the people and your cast. And I think season 6 for the US is really what just like changed the game for the US so much. But last season was good too. I don't know. This season just a little bit. I don't know if it's because normally my husband and I wait really either for there to be a lot of episodes out so that even though we're binging, we have so much to watch by the time we get to the end, it's like already done, or we wait until the whole thing's out. But maybe because we're watching it episode by episode, but it's just not like, it doesn't measure up to the last 2 so far, I will say. And then it's like, Summer House is kind of over minus the episode that's going to come out tomorrow. And then my husband and I are waiting for a lot of like shows to either, again, one, for them to just start dropping episodes in general, or we're waiting on them to finish the whole season, because we really do like to binge, because if we're watching, we're typically watching either on a weekday night or on the weekend, and we can bang out so much fucking TV on the weekend. I can't even tell you. Like, I think, like, if binge watching TV were a sport, we would be high competitors. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, we're watching. Oh, I'm like, I already forgot where I was going to go with that for what I was going to say, but we're watching Snowpiercer right now, but it's like, I think that's like an older show. It's just been one that he's been trying to get me to watch for so long, but I didn't understand what it was actually about. And then he like finally just like turned it on the other day to like force me to watch it. And I was like, I don't want to fucking watch this. And then it was like completely not at all what I thought it was going to be about. And it's actually so freaking good. And there's like 4 seasons. So I'm actually excited about like this is like one of those shows now I love, and he loves, like, we love to be excited to like sit down and watch our show, to be like to the point where we're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to, like, once we are like, well, basically, like, if it's during the week, like, if I get home, like, we're gonna like debrief about anything we need to debrief about, we're gonna like talk, we're gonna do whatever, and then we love to sit down and eat and watch like our show. But it's kind of like, you know, when you don't really have one going on, and so you're like, oh, what do you want to watch? Or like, we have this to watch, but we don't really feel in the mood. Like, that's so annoying. But this is one of those shows where it has me like locked in, ready to whatever. So that's good. But it's not really current, and I don't really like to give like not current recommendations. But I just watched the new documentary on Netflix called The Maternal Instinct. Well, not like the maternal. It's called Maternal Instinct. Oh my gosh, it is crazy. So, spoiler alert, if you do not want to know what's happening and you haven't listened to, or watched it, but you plan on watching it, then skip past this right now. But essentially, it's about this girl who meets a guy. So you're like, every other story I've ever heard. No, but essentially it's like this girl who meets this guy, and she's like a real country girl, and he's like really a country guy. Like, I don't know if she necessarily grew up in that lifestyle, but that's what she's attracted to. But he like grew up in the lifestyle, but she's like cool. Like, she wants to do like the whole country life, whatever. But apparently she like comes from all of this money, and there's all these contingencies because the money comes from her grandparents and her mom trying to block it from her, all the things. And I think, so it's like, she's not going to get the money, then she's going to get the money. Then they start spending all of this money that they don't really have. And then it's like it's catching up that it's apparent that they don't really have it. So then she's got to like counter, like, or what's that? Then she's gonna like backtrack and be like, oh, well, now I'm having issues again because of like my mom and whatever. And so I think she feels like she starts getting to the point with her dude where she feels like she's gonna lose him. So then she comes up with this story, scheme, lie, whatever you want to call it, that, I mean, it for sure is a lie, but if you want to call it something else first, that she is pregnant. And so they're like gonna have this little girl. So it like pulls them back in, I think, from the aspect of a child, but I don't think I don't want kids, so I probably shouldn't speak on this because I don't really know, but I just don't see in a scenario where if your relationship is already not doing well, that a child is ever going to save it. Now, maybe there's people out there that that's worked for, but I just don't like see how it could happen. I feel like for sure you can see the other way where you've been like, things are going really well, and then like maybe you have kids and you don't want to parent the same, or you don't agree on that, or whatever the case may be. But I don't see how you go from like a bad to a good because of a kid. But again, there could be many people out there who have done it, so I'm not one to talk because I don't even want them in the first place. But anyway, she brings up this to like save the relationship, And she essentially says that like she intuitively knows, and then someone takes her to the doctor or some like urgent care or whatever, where then she gets like the positive test. And then whenever she's going to be sending the gender reveal results to her friend, the friend notices that the paper is dated 2016. So naturally she confronts her, and then the girl who says she's pregnant is like, oh, well, let me call my doctor and see what's happening. And then she basically calls her back immediately being like, yeah, so that was just like there was like a misprint or whatever of like 200 misprints of documents or whatever that happened in the lab, but yeah, like we're the gender for sure is like correct. But then, you know, people are starting to get like it's starting to get fishy, whatever. And I don't know if anyone else listens to it, but my sister Nikki got me onto this podcast like a long time ago, and I haven't listened to it in a long time. I kind of like go through like spurts where I'll listen to it because I feel like after a while I like need a break from murder, if you can believe it. But it's called Murder with My Husband. I actually think that they're one of the podcasts that are on like Netflix now, which if that's the case, that's so fucking cool because like my sister literally started listening to them so long ago when they were like just very first coming up. So it's really cool that they've been able to gain that much success. And it is a really good podcast, like if you've never listened to it. But essentially it's like the wife telling the husband about a murder story that's happened, and she's just like a really good narrator and storyteller, and he basically hates like true crime and murder and everything, so it's just kind of funny that she's telling him. But he also like, even though he doesn't like it, he gets so into all of the cases that she dives into, and not all of them necessarily end in murder, but like, you know, it's kind of the theme of the thing. So I actually think I heard about this story on Murder with My Husband like years ago, but essentially like this girl is like not really pregnant, and it comes out that like some of her past friends that have seen her posting on like Facebook and stuff are like, so she can't even be pregnant because she had a hysterectomy. And then even they interview the hospital and the doctors who gave her hysterectomy, and they're like, yeah, she did have a hysterectomy. And obviously at the time that we're seeing this posted, because she lived in like a small town in Texas, and they're like, so obviously like we can't like say anything because like of HIPAA and everything, but now that it's out, but like they like literally saw this unfolding because of like being in such a small town, but they couldn't say anything. So anyway, it's like getting down to the wire, and everyone's getting suspicious, and like the friend, like her friend who was doing the gender reveal ends up getting in contact like with one of her past friends who told her like, no, she had a hysterectomy, she can't get pregnant, and then gave her the contact to her mom, which had apparently or supposedly been like this person that was keeping her from getting this inheritance and all these things. And the mom's like, yeah, no, I was actually waiting for this call, like basically she's been lying her whole life, and like, yeah, she had a hysterectomy, she can't have kids. So then when it's coming time for her to be her due date, like now she's going past her due date, and she ended up making friends with this other girl, and essentially she like goes and kills this girl and she basically goes and then performs a C-section on this girl, but obviously she's not a fucking doctor, so she doesn't know. Like she tries to watch like YouTube videos on like how to do a C-section, but she's not a doctor, so she doesn't know how to do a C-section. So the way that the doctors like described it when they had to testify was like, however, like wherever she cut, it basically would have been like extreme. First of all, I feel like even if you did the C-section correctly on a person without anesthesia, it's going to be extremely painful. But like the way that she did it was like even more like horrific, as if it's not already horrific to cut a baby out of your freaking friend who's having it done unwillingly in her fucking living room. But I digress. So she basically cut the baby out, left her friend for dead, and then was speeding with the baby and the umbilical cord like still freaking hanging on for dear life. And then a police catches her speeding, so they pull her over. Anyway, she ends up like getting to the hospital. They like obviously see that this situation makes no sense. The baby dies, so now there's not even a freaking friend or a baby. And the doctor comes in to examine her, and they're like, so you have not just like had a baby. And she's like, so like basically whatever, they're like, okay, well, whose baby this is? And she's like, it's mine. And they're like, you realize like a doctor is going to be able to tell like the second he looks that like you haven't had a baby if you haven't. And she's like, yeah, but I just had one. It's like, no, girl. But anyway, it was super crazy, and she's actually sentenced to death row, which I didn't even like really realize that was still a thing. Well, okay, yeah, I guess I did know that that was still a thing, but like that is crazy. She's like, I think they said one of like 7 women in the state of Texas who have been sentenced to death row, and she's like the youngest at this point, like that's waiting. So that's really crazy, as she should be. And then you know what that made me think of? What, like, I feel like we need a documentary about like that one like high schooler or whatever girl who like had a baby and like threw it in the trash can at the hospital. Like, I really want to know what was like happening with that, because that was also insane. If you have any, like, I feel like if people have more details on that, like, I want to know. But you know what, the other thing that I actually haven't talked about on here that I'm also super into is I love audiobooks. Like, when I was a kid, I loved reading, and I think now I just always have like too much going on to actually feel like I can, like, if I feel like I obviously can sit down and read a book, like I know how to read, so the ability to take a seat with a book or with my book app and read is obviously possible. But I just feel like I always, like, if I'm gonna do that, I feel like I need to be doing something. Like, I can't fully relax because there's always something to do. So I love an audiobook, like when I'm driving or like if I'm cleaning or whatever. And I love, I don't know if I have talked about this or not, but I love a memoir. Like, and I especially love a celebrity memoir just because sometimes I feel like we like think we know people, and then like you listen to a book and you have no idea. Like Paris Hilton's memoir, completely, like, oh my gosh, I always liked her, but after listening to her memoir, I like, it's just like you don't know, and that's what's so crazy is you don't know. The other one that I feel like is way more known is I'm glad my mother died, I'm glad my mom died, by Jeanette McCurdy. That one also is, I've like listened to that one so many times because I don't relate at all with her on the like mom portion of it, but I relate so much to her about like the OCD portion of it. And not that I thought like my OCD was like the Holy Spirit, but I also don't think I really truly understood obviously what it was at that time, because it just wasn't so talked about, especially like, yeah, I just think the conversations around it aren't what they are now. And then like having an eating disorder, like I think there's so many women and men for sure, but like especially women who struggle with like eating disorders. And I think at this point now, it's honestly, if you like had a group of women, it would be hard to throw a stone and hit a woman that hasn't had an eating disorder, in my opinion, in like one way or another. There's so many different like ways to have that. And I mean, again, hers was like through her mom, which is actually just so incredibly sad, and I can't relate to that at all. But there was like, there's a lot of aspects to her herself that I could relate to, that I've listened to that book numerous times. I've listened to Paris Hilton's numerous times. Like, I just love a celebrity memoir. I did listen to Strangers, the more like recent memoir that is out about the lady who her husband like up and out of nowhere wanted a divorce, and she like during COVID, and she had no, like, it was basically just like out of nowhere. And I didn't listen to it for like some time after I heard about it, and then I just like didn't have anything to listen to, so I'm like, well, let me just give it a try and we'll see. And it was so good, so now I'm like, well, maybe I need to branch out. But right now I'm listening to Hayden Panettiere's, oh my gosh, and this partly too, well, I was already listening to hers, but I want to download Dorit's from Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I use my mom's Audible account, and we didn't have any credits until the next day, and now I forgot. And Mom, I hope you didn't use that credit already, because if not, I want to download Dorit's book. But anyway, I love listening to a celebrity memoir and just like a memoir in general. But right now I'm listening to Hayden Panettiere's, which also, I guess that's not even how you pronounce her last name, but that's what I know. And also I loved her. And so I loved when I saw that she had a book, because I feel like she was like one of those who just kind of like disappeared out of nowhere, and you're like, wait, but I loved her, and like, where did she go? So hers has been a good listen. But I might add my like Murder with My Husband back into my rotation, because I do really like theirs. And yeah, I think that I am going to wrap up this episode right here. But I'm actually going to be back, me, myself, and I, in about 5 minutes to record my next episode. So for me, won't be too long, but for you will be a few days. And with that, before I get a partial refill, cheers to that.